What up, people? It's your boy Fuji. At this point, I have almost sunk 300 hours into Cyberpunk. I have played the game in its completion once, 100%. I did everything. And I'm talking purchase all cars, did all the gigs, the side missions, NCPD scans, you name it, everything. Full 100%. Second playthrough, I played as a nomad just to see the differences in life path. Third playthrough, I'm now playing as a corpo, and I am just role-playing my way as a legendary netrunner. So, take whatever I say with my third playthrough as a grain of salt, because I'm clearly not trying to get the most out of it at this point. But yeah, let's continue. What I wanted to do from the get-go, with everything that went south and all of the backlash that I was getting and all of the people that were upset with the game, is I wanted to really delve deep into this on my PlayStation 4 Pro and be able to give you guys the most honest and unbiased review that I can give. I say unbiased because I didn't expect a lot from this game. I was waiting for it for 8 years, don't get me wrong, but I've kept myself blind throughout the whole thing. Promises made, went over my head, that sort of thing. Like I had no idea what everything was that they promised. So this is just me, unfiltered, and so let's get into it. I wanted to start off by listing and talking about the many negatives that surrounded this game throughout its very young lifespan so far. As strange as it may sound, the experiences between me and a friend of mine who goes by vlogs.ig on Instagram could not have been more different than it is. Both of us play on the exact same console. We both play on our PlayStation 4 Pro Spider-Man edition. And I have been able to finish the game twice now, whereas he has been able to finish the game once. So that is something to keep in mind when we delve deeper into this. Now, one of the many things that I've been seeing mentioned left and right is the graphical inferiority compared to PC. And it cannot be argued that the console version of the game is clearly less graphically impressive than the PC version. That said, however, this game is still gorgeous. You could probably see that on screen right now as we drive through Night City. But I myself, I like great graphics, but I don't really care for them. If I did, I would have built me a PC a long time ago, let alone now with all of the amazing mods that are coming out for Cyberpunk. So if anything, you should probably consider buying it on PC if you have one that is powerful enough for it. On top of that, with all the scalpers and everything, I really just wish I went into PC gaming a long time ago. But that has nothing to do with Cyberpunk. There are other graphical issues that include, but are not limited to, textures not loading in fast enough, textures loading in so slow that the idea was given you'd hit a wall, but it was just a map loading in front of you. That is something that I have not experienced personally. That is a problem that my friend Vlogs has experienced. Whether this is a problem that may stem from the fact that I have an SSD and he might not too sure, simply because I don't know if he has an SSD. The textures flicker when you exit the car that you've been driving in third person. This happens whether you're on bike or in a car. It'll flicker for a split second, and there is a very minute chance that it'll keep on flickering until you save and reload that save. Textures being stretched across your screen and seemingly stuck to an item. Now, I don't know what causes this. It's happened maybe once or twice where the textures of my skin get stretched and seem to be stuck to a gun or something of the like. Now, like I said, I don't know what happens and I don't know why it happens, but It's quite funny nonetheless. I usually reload the saves just to be on the safe side. No, you never know when this game decides to crash on you. There are assets that are not being loaded and are replaced by a funny little red box that do, in their defense, explain that textures are not being loaded and assets are not being loaded. But like I said, just a minor problem. I have only encountered it once in all of those hours. Haven't heard any of my friends talk about it. Just something to keep in mind. Many other issues include bugs, bad load times, and broken quests. Like the biggest one for me that actually annoys the hell out of me is that legendary specs for clothing are only available upon your first visit to a store. Now, if you're like me and you adore your character creation, you adore dressing your characters up and whatnot and looking fly as fuck when you play the game, even though it doesn't really matter because it's on the first person, as soon as you have some eddies to spend, you want to hook up a clothing store. Now, upon your first entering of that clothing store, depending on which one of course, you get the option to buy a legendary crafting specs for clothing. This is your one and only chance, however. Now there's a very small chance that you might have enough eddies to be able to buy those legendary crafting specs though. Seeing as you probably don't have enough eddies, you're gonna walk out of there with the idea that, hey, I'll come back to that later and buy me that legendary stuff because it's probably gonna be looking very fucking good. That's the biggest problem. They'll never appear again. There's something going on with the game that refuses them appearing in clothing stores upon your return. It's version 1.1 now. I have no idea if it has been fixed because I already passed that point again. So I can't say for sure if they fixed it, yes or no. I really do hope that they fixed it because it's an annoying problem to say the least, but nothing too game breaking or anything. Moving on, there are certain perks and mods that straight up do not work. There's a mod that I think it's a mod that gives you a hefty critical damage bonus, and that just doesn't seem to work, which is a damn shame. Off the top of my head, I cannot name a specific perk that doesn't work right now, but there's an extensive list out there of perks and mods that work and do not work. I suggest, if you're looking into buying this game, go ahead, look it up. If you're playing this game already, go ahead, look it up, so that you don't waste any mod slots, because you might as well get some armor out of it if you're not doing anything with it. There are crashes that occur because of different reasons and sometimes no reason at all. There are crashes that happened upon quick saving and saving during driving sequences, which made filming this quite the challenge because you never know when a game might crash, yes or no. There is a location in the game called Jig Street that was heavily inhabited by NPCs, and it was really densely packed to the point that it gave me a 50% chance of crashing upon nearing that location even, so I always had to save up front and cross my fingers and hope that I was actually able to succeed. But ever since patch 1.1, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. They vastly limited the amount of NPCs that could appear on your screen, so the stability on PlayStation 4 has also seen a massive increase on my end at least, so there is hope still. Now, some of my friends on base PlayStation 4s and on the PS4 Pro have experienced absolutely random blue screen crashes. I myself maybe once or twice, but from what I hear from them, it's an abundant problem on different consoles. To add on to the base PlayStation 4 thing, one friend of mine has experienced them and then my sister has not. So, it's another thing of two different experiences despite playing on the same kind of console. But I'm not expert on the matter, so I can't tell you what happens and why it happens, and I'm just telling you guys our experiences as a collective, and so that you can form your own opinion on it and your own reasons for buying or not buying the game. There are quests that are bugged to different degrees that can be fixed with simple solutions or require a restart. This pertains to main missions, side quests, gigs. I haven't heard anything about NCPD scans, nor have I heard anything about NCPD targets, so that seems to be good, but it's still a problem if you want to 100% the game, just because you cannot. Some quests will be bugged and remain bugged until what might be your second playthrough. Cars would randomly burst into an explosion of glass before breaking entirely. I haven't encountered that. That is something that happened on the base PlayStation 4 of my sister. Some unforced movements, i.e. sprinting, Basically, what you gotta imagine is controller drifting, but without your controller actually drifting. It is in the game. There has been some fixes in terms of changing your settings, because the settings that came with the game are janky and weird. Makes you wonder why they chose that. There's moments of severe lag. There was moments of severe lag, let me put it that way, to the point where it causes headaches. Again, this is something that I have not encountered on my PlayStation. This is something that my friend has not encountered on his PlayStation 4 Pro. This is something that I have only ever heard of happening on the base PlayStation 4. So it's not an SSD thing, but it's just older gen consoles, and even older gen console that might just have that problem only. There were missions that were completed but would not trigger as completed, not even when completing other quests. A quick example that was given to me. There are missions where you need to save an NPC and escort them to a car that will take them to safety. That NPC will either not get into the car, or get into the car and not drive away, or even will drive away and you will get the prompt to leave the area. Nothing seems to work. You'll complete other quests, you'll leave the area, do whatever you need to do. Nothing seems to work to trigger completion on these games, which makes it impossible to 100% the game, of course. That is a big problem. I have not heard if that problem was fixed. There were many fixes in the patch 1.1, or the big patch, many of which pertain to side quests that were fixed, so this problem might not occur anymore. We'll have to see about that until the patch is a little bit older than it is right now. And some areas would trigger a pacifist state where you're unable to pull a weapon, make use of your cybernetics or hacks, etc. while you're under attack, which is quite the problem if you're playing on very hard or whatever, because you cannot save in combat, so you're always going to be screwed and you're always going to be put back to your last loading checkpoint. Awfully slow load times when fast traveling. I think that differs from person to person, and I think it might have also something to do with the SSD, because that is not a problem that I've had. I mean, my load times could have been better, but then again, I'm playing on the consoles. I'm not that hopeful for any sort of light speed in load times. Wanting to enter a building, but having to wait until the front door is loaded before even being able to enter, that is a problem that I have not had personally, but it is a problem that my friend has specifically stated is a big problem on his version of the game and has stopped him from playing the game on numerous occasions. From time to time, NPC dialogue will remain stuck on screen until restart. That is just something that's a minor problem, really. Might have something to do with the fact that the showing of background dialogue and just people talking, it could freeze upon your screen and it could stay there wherever you go. It's funky, it's weird, it's kind of funny, but it might annoy you if you don't like seeing, or if you like your immersion, pretty much. All in all, a lot of bugs are going to happen upon your playthrough. That'll make you restart the game, and depending on your enjoyment of the game or your personality, you might be able to push through. A lot of these bugs have been squashed and eradicated on the biggest patch so far. That doesn't go to say, like, that doesn't mean that there are no more bugs to be explored or no more bugs to be talked about, I'm afraid. I feel like there are always going to be somewhat of a problem. Aside from the bugs, there are a few things missing from the game that I personally feel are a staple of the genre and should have been included from the start. I'm gonna start off by something I feel that should have been in the game, regardless of what they promised, yes or no. Because from what I hear, they promised it. Vehicle customization. Every vehicle that you've seen me step into or step onto, you cannot customize them. You get them the way they are, and you cannot change a single thing about them. It's a missed opportunity, really. I mean, there are games older that have done this. There are games less large that have done this, and it is what it is. It's a simple feature that should have been included, regardless of what anyone might think or say. The ability to change your character's appearance during the game is something that is missing right now. You cannot change your hair, you cannot change your hair color, you can't change anything. The only physical differences from the character that you created in your character creation at the start of the game and your character during the game are your arm cybernetics, which is a minor change in appearance. Minor. And I mean to say that from the good of my heart. Like, I love the changes, but they're really minor. There's no possibility of upgrading the rarity of items through leveling and perks. So you find something cool, you find something neat, you find something unique, and it's only a blue rarity, or it's maybe a purple. It'll stay that way until the end of the game. You cannot upgrade them in terms of rarity, which is a damn shame, considering they put a lot of time and effort into the clothing options in this game. I'm a big fan of the clothing options, but just gonna have to settle for less armor, I guess. There is no ability to purchase new safe houses. You do get new safe houses when you play through certain missions, when you play through certain quest lines. You'll unlock new safe houses, but a big problem from those safe houses are that you don't have your role-playing aspects of that safe house. In your own house, for example, you can take a shower, you can sleep, and you can store your equipment. In other safe houses, except for one, off the top of my head, you can not sleep, you cannot shower, and you can't store items. And the only exclusion being that you can store items in one other safe house. Which gives me the idea that there should have been more to the safe houses, but were scrapped at the last moment. Mini games in the game itself, such as arcade games or their own universe equivalent of, say, a Gwent, for example, are now present in the game right now. It is not the end of the world, but it would have been a nice addition. I think should be included in a game such as this, just because it gives the player another level of depth to immerse themselves into the world. The ability to sit at a bar and have a drink is something that I'm missing quite a bit, especially because it is a fine way to immerse yourself in the world and to enjoy everything that is going on and to really appreciate the work that CDPR has put into it. But it isn't available at the moment, which makes food vendors and such really unnecessary, because all you get is just another menu screen where you can buy whatever you want, and really the benefits that you get from drinking and or eating are not great anyway. So that is a missed opportunity, I'm afraid. Alright, back on apartments. You also cannot customize your apartment. You can't change the interior to make it look like the way you want it to make it fit the personality of your V or whatever you decide for them. So that is a bummer. But that is just to name a few. Just things that are missing from a otherwise really amazing game. Or rather, I should say, a game that is already amazing but would have made it even greater. But enough of the negative. Now on to why, despite everything, I absolutely adore this game to the point where I am in the middle of my third playthrough. Now I know I said the graphics weren't that great compared to PC, but even so, this game is absolutely gorgeous, even on old gen consoles. From the city lights to the night sky when you're roaming around the Badlands, this game, it all comes together. As a whole, as a beautifully crafted world in which you, the player, can easily get lost in what this city has to offer. More than once have I stopped myself from continuing to do what I was planning on doing, only to delve into the photo mode of this game, which is in depth. It is a very strong contender for one of the best photo modes in a game. I just wish that there were more poses in terms of making use of the fact that you have cybernetics, say mantis blades, but it's amazing nonetheless. The photo mode has kept me occupied for hours at the very least, definitely trying to create the perfect shot of my feet in the middle of the city around in the Badlands. It is rather addictive. It's a fun and well implemented extra to the game. Now chances are when you exit your photo mode and continue on your journey, your phone is gonna ring. And one of your friends sends you a text, but it's not one of those texts that'll trigger another mission. Instead, it's just them reaching out. A nice little interaction that plays through the usage of your in-game phone. Just small tidbits of dialogue that deepens their character in meaningful and often funny ways. People you meet feel alive, feel real. You know, like your best friend or your mom or your brother, sister, father, uncle, you name it. Like people will do their own things and react in realistic ways to their experiences, and they'll talk to you about them in the form of text. It's just another level of going in depth that this game has done very well and has been able to really immerse me into their world. It made me care a lot for the characters in this game. And coming from someone who doesn't quite often care about people or characters in game to that degree, that is quite the feat to achieve. Another thing about their ability to write really well crafted characters is the fact that you may not always get along with them. You may not agree with their actions or words or choices, and that's okay. You know, you don't always agree with the choices or the actions of your friends either, and it's what makes them human. It's what makes you human. Even though we love and hold them there, it's another especially nice addition to the game. There's so much I want to talk about. There's so many small details that I just want to mention, like a character just like wobbling his leg because he's nervous, squinting their eyes because they don't believe you. Sometimes you can really tell the sadness in their eyes whenever something comes up that they're talking about. Just small things, really. It's God, I wish I didn't keep this spoiler free and just was able to rabble on and on about it, but you know, I want to be able and grant you the chance to experience it all for yourself. Let's just move on before I make a mistake. Which I'm sure is bound to happen if I keep going like this. But yeah, the way this game dances and weaves its story and characters throughout your experience feels almost flawless. You don't even notice it happening. You just going with the flow. You're just doing whatever you can, really. It's but at the same time, it's easy to ignore quests that can yield astonishing results and deepen your roots in the story, giving you multiple choices later down the line, or not at all. Like, it's all up to you. It's all your choice. Just an example, I think in total there are 9 endings, 5 of which are completely different from each other, and you can play in any kind of way that you like. Hell, you could probably play through the story as fast as you want to, ignoring all of the side content and only ending up with one ending. For example, like just one ending that you get to choose from, as compared to the 5 big different endings, and then the smaller choices within those endings that'll yield different results, leading to even more endings. It's crazy. It's crazy. I have not been lucky enough to enjoy the secret ending, which I'm working for now with the corporal playthrough that I'm doing. But the other endings just felt right. You know, they felt just right, and given what your V may end up wanting out of life afterwards. I feel like there's something in there for everybody. I'm not gonna lie, it's easy to forget and not see the love that CD Projekt Red has put in the game when you're facing bugs after bugs and crash after crashes. But when you're coming across, like, for example, small unmarked locations in which an event has taken place and a unique piece of loot can be looted just because you decided to explore, it all comes together. This is a game that'll reward you for exploring, for your curiosity, for your investment in their world. That'll pull you in many different ways to do that exploring. It'll tickle that sense of curiosity that you've once had as a kid and that you may have lost as an adult. But it'll tickle that again, it'll pull it out, and you'll feel like a small kid when you're just walking around and, you know, your curiosity just peaks and you're going, what is that? Ooh, what is over there? What does this do? What does that do? And then you turn a corner and it's like, oh, there are 2 kids playing, and you're like, oh, let me check what they're doing. And you walk over and it turns out they were not playing. They were trying to see what was going on because there's a dead cop in a fucking corner tucked away. And so you check it out, and that cop has a legendary piece of armor on him. You're like, god damn, what the heck? Where did that come from, right? It's just another layer of depth that they painstakingly put in this game, just in the small details that I feel that you are going to enjoy as much as I did, and you are definitely going to appreciate as much as I did if that is something that you enjoy in your games. Just another example is a quest It's an actual quest. Like you'll get a title, you'll get the whole shebang. But the thing is the way you find it. It's not because of an NPC. It's not because of a mission marker. It's not because of dialogue or whatever. It's because of your exploration, and it's because of your sense of curiosity. Without going too in depth and spoiling the whole thing, you open up a garage door and bam, there's a bike. Bike is destroyed, and you talk about it. And you scour the garage, and you find some hints, and you find some things, and you find about the owner of the bike, and you read that they have been in trouble, and so you set out to find the owner of the bike. But there's no quest marker. It's just you and your intuition, just what you read upon, the hints you gathered, all of that stuff. You just gotta find your way, man, in this big city, and it all depends on how well you've explored the city and how much attention you've been paying. And it is the most and the biggest feeling of accomplishment I've ever had in a game, or I've had in recent years, really, when it comes to gaming. When I completed this quest, and my reward was something unique. It was something that I was able to use throughout the game, and it happened on my first playthrough, and it was something that just it fit my Street Kid V so well in terms of just the color and look and feel, and it was perfect. Really, it's definitely one of my favorite quests in a game. Just no hand holding, no nothing. It is such a good experience that I hope every single one of you get to experience at some point in time. But God, as much as I want to talk about the different missions and characters that you meet throughout your journey, I can't possibly do that without spoiling so many of these interactions and things that take place in Night City. But there's so much going on beneath the surface that you just don't even think about. That has nothing to do with the main story, but it's just something that gives life to the city and the people within it. There's so much good about this game that needs talking about. There's so much good about this game that needs exploring. The soundtrack alone, the different radio stations. I've always been a fan of different genres of music, and I gotta say, every single radio station has something for me to listen to, and there's plenty of songs that I even added to my real life playlists that I can play in my own car when I'm driving somewhere. It's so good. There's the big group Samurai, the people behind that group and the people behind the songs. They have done such amazing work that I can't help but fall in love with their soundtrack, and I can't help but fall in love with the city itself. It's a mess, but it's a beautiful mess, and much like the game itself, it's so fitting. It's an experience that I feel you should grant yourself given your curiosity over it. As much as I'd like to continue this video has gone on long enough, so let me give you my conclusion on Cyberpunk for the moment. Now, did CD Projekt Red bite off more than they can chew? Yes. Did they probably get into a lot of problems during the development of this game? Undoubtedly. Given all of the bugs and issues and just minor things that have been scrapped, and undoubtedly. Have mistakes been made and promises been given that couldn't be followed up upon? Goddamn right. The more and more I research about this game, the more and more I find out all of the things that they promised that are not in the game. And it's a shame. It's a shame that tarnishes what could have otherwise been an amazing game. But is this game an amazing piece of art in an era and genre that is wildly underrepresented in the industry? Yeah, definitely. Which is a funny way of wording it, since I just said that there would otherwise be an amazing game, because it is. It really is an amazing game. English is hard, and there are so many things that I can say that I want to say by giving examples of what this game does right, but it's nearly impossible to do so without spoilers. So let's just say that much like The Witcher 3, we're undoubtedly going to see many patches and the game being fixed to be what it was meant to be. Maybe not in its deepest core as even CDPR themselves would have wanted, but we're going to get them damn close. And just that prospect alone, the knowledge that along the way they'll get more experienced in further expanding on this world, on this story, and subsequent games, is what makes me excited for the future. I can't wait for the DLCs. I can't wait for the next installment. And like I've said earlier, this game, much like Night City itself, is such a gorgeous mess with its beauties and its faults that I can't help but fall in love with. It's been a journey, an experience, and a core memory that I will not soon forget. This has become a game that I lovingly place among many of my favorites. And now I thank you for taking this drive with me and listening to the rambles of a man who came to Night City in search of a feeling he lost long ago and found so much more than that. Again, thank you. Like if you liked this video, dislike if you disliked it. Let me know what you loved and hated about the game. I love to hear from you. So let's have a discussion, or rather just a conversation in the comments. Should you buy this game right now? No. Wait it out. Wait until the bigger patches have been made and see how stable the game is then. But until then, take care and stay safe.